The G League 76ers giving more effort than the Philadelphia 76ers a normal roster. We're going to break down the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder and everything that came with it, and who maybe stepped up in that contest as well.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 76ers. We're your host, Keith Pompey. Of course, the Sixers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'm Kayla Santiago, sideline reporter for the Philadelphia 76ers NBA G League team in the Delaware Bluecoats as we bring you in on the action. And if you want more of Philadelphia 76ers content, you can check out our free daily newsletter that's on lockedondaily.com. So make sure you go check that out today. By no surprise, the Philadelphia 76ers fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder 118-102. That was expected. What wasn't expected was the extensive injury report that we saw going into the game. They said, okay, well, if we're going to lose this game, we might as well just sit a lot of our guys at 15 and 22 before last night. They thought that was okay. But we did see a rookie have a big game, the two-way player in Justin Edwards. We're going to touch on if he deserves more minutes and then look ahead to the 76ers schedule, and they've lost their last 6 out of 8 games as well. So overall, Keith, I mean, this is what was expected. What I didn't expect, though, is looking throughout the day of Tyrese Maxey and Paul George being on the injury report. I understand it in some aspects because they assume they were going to lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but this is not what you do when your team is 15 and 22. I get it's a back-to-back, but come on now. I was just shocked when I saw that injury report come out. You're just having essentially the two ways go out there and have a field day with the best team in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they actually had a field day, though. I think they played well, but I feel like the best team in the Western Conference was like, all right, whenever we need to do something, we're going to do it. I mean, think about it. When they came back, then it was game over. Like they literally came back. They got within 4 points, and the Oklahoma City Thunder went on a 20-5 run and a game over. And they ended up winning by 118-102. But here's the deal. Like, yeah, I mean, the thing is, when we look at the 76ers, you know, it's just all been about injuries. And the one mind-boggling thing is that, you know, Caleb Martin was listed as questionable, but he didn't even participate in shoot around. Like they said he got treatment, but he getting treatment and competing in shoot around is completely different. Tyrese Maxey, he messed his hand up. He stayed in the game. Talking about the last games, it was cool. The crazy thing of it all was Paul George being listed as probable. And then all of a sudden, they're like, he's not playing. So to me, it's like, how do you go from probable to out? Like that's crazy. And the thing about it is they had the guys listed as questionable. You had to know they weren't going to play. So you wonder, why did you have them listed as questionable and not out? Is it because you don't want the fans to get upset? So those are the things. But yeah, like, you know what, the 76ers, it was a game where the opposing team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, basically was up by 21 points in the first quarter. You know, they did whatever they wanted to do. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 32 points. Cason Wallace had 18. Jalen Williams had 24. But, you know, you're right. The G League guys did play well. I mean, they had their best games. Jeff Doughton had 18 points. Justin Edwards had 25. But to me, it's kind of like we're looking at the 76ers. And if I'm a 76ers fan, I'm becoming frustrated right now. I mean, Kayla, they got booed when they announced the injury report. Yeah. They got booed at the end of the game. They got booed at least 7 times in between that. So it was just a disappointment for the fans who are getting tired of basically paying money for 3 stars who aren't playing.
And that's the thing, too. You look at it, right? And ticket prices are starting to drop, especially if you do the thing where you wait an hour before the game to see if they drop and see who's actually going to play. But The problem becomes when you have a fan base that is so passionate and loves Philly sports and everything like that. This is so different than the 10-win season Philadelphia 76ers. It felt like we knew what we were getting from them. This is not what we expected. I did not assume that they were going to be 15 and 23 this year, and all of this happening throughout early on in the season. I mean, they are losing the fans how I look at it right now, because when you see this happen, you say, okay, well, are they going to cheer for the Blue Coats players, the two-way guys, Justin Edwards and Jeff Dowtin? And that's no disrespect to those guys because we cover them and talented players, but at the same time, you all know who they're coming for. And when you have those players play against the Oklahoma City Thunder and your team just completely sits out and basically throws in the towel. I think Adam Silver should have just said, all right, well, it's a forfeit for the Philadelphia 76ers and OKC could just take this game and not even have to play it, because that's really what it felt like for the Philadelphia 76ers, even before the game started. And then they go into the game and they fall in the contest. And we'll get to kind of how those players shaped up and maybe if they deserve more minutes or not. But Keith, I'm in agreement with you where they're starting to lose the fans. This Sixers team is not being well managed right now. A lot of the times, we look at Nick Nurse and say, okay, is that the rotation? Is that this? Is that that? I'm starting to feel bad for Nick Nurse, and I see him maybe getting a little frustrated too, because how do you coach a team that is different every single night on any given night? I mean, it is crazy. This is not what I thought the 76ers season would be like, and they're just a bad team, plain and simple right now. But you're now relying on people to try to come out with a victory against the Oklahoma City Thunder that don't normally get minutes. And my problem with it is you knew you were going to lose, yes, but you have 15 wins, 15 wins on the season. That is the issue that we're looking at right now, too.
Yeah. Now look, here's the thing. You're going to. Yeah, I know you feel sorry for Nick Nurse, but I'm about to pull out my wallet and see how much money I have in there. I got. Well, it's a good day. I have $51 in my wallet.
More than me. It's more than me.
Yeah, $51 in my wallet. I don't feel sorry for Nick Nurse because guess what? I can go right here and I'm gonna go into my my look at my Bank of America app to see how much money I have. I don't feel sorry for Nick Nurse. But again, I get what you're saying. The thing is he's getting paid for it, and yeah, this
Right.
has been a disappointing season. It's one of those things where Nick Nurse knows more that's going on than he lets on. Like a lot of times,
sure.
coaches are saying, "Well, they just tell me who plays this and that." Nah, bruh. Like you have an idea that morning who's going to play and who's not going to play, and we'll talk more about this. But I feel like when it comes down to Maxey, when it comes down to Embiid, it comes down to Drummond and guys like that. You're looking at it like this OKC team is really good. I don't know if we can beat them tonight, but I don't know if these guys right now are ready to play on back-to-backs, especially Embiid and Drummond. So we got to pick our poison. We may not play tonight. We'll play tomorrow, right? So when Nick Nurse comes out and says, I really don't know, you have to have some type of idea. You know what I mean? You have some. Now, maybe you don't want to say anything because you got to realize when they went up against Orlando the day before the game, remember he came out and said, I hope Joel Embiid plays.
Yep.
You remember last week when he came out and he was asked specifically, is the goal to get Joel Embiid to play on both ends of back-to-backs? And he came out and said, yeah, the goal is for moving forward is to have all our guys do that, right? Joel's the only one who's not doing it. So, you know what I mean? I get it. We can feel sorry for him, but at the same time, it's kind of like I feel like Nick Nurse isn't being completely honest with us right now. He knows what's going on.
He does. And I think part of it is he's trying to protect his players, but at what cost too? Because we just alluded to, you're losing the fans. Well, you're really losing the fans right now when you act like you don't want to know what's going on. And the worst thing about it is they definitely looked at this game and said, the 76ers are going to lose. There's no way they come out on top in this contest. We're going to sit Paul George. We're going to sit Tyrese Maxey and Kayla Martin. Okay. And then you say, well, Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond, those guys probably aren't ready to play in a back-to-back. Okay. Well, when are they going to be ready, Nick Nurse? When are they going to be ready? It is January 15th right now, and these guys have not played in consecutive games. Oh, what happens when you go in the playoffs? You just can take a week off, 10 days in between, and then go play the second game of the series. It's not how it works. And this is just so frustrating to look at because you're consistently saying, we have a plan. They're going to play on back-to-backs at some point. We're going to set them out now so that they can make sure that they, don't get injured or anything like that. This team's never going to be ready. This team's never going to be ready because they're never going to get a chance to because they're not going to play those games, whether it's the players, Nick Nurse, whoever's sitting them out. This team's just never going to be ready. And that's the valid situation here that we're looking at, especially down the stretch for the Philadelphia 76ers. So listen, Nick Nurse, I would probably, like that paycheck too and say, all right, well, we're 15 and 23, but I'm still getting my bread at the end of the day. I'm sure Joel Embiid happy he's getting his paycheck and he doesn't have to play a basketball game. So, they're a little more fortunate from us in that standpoint, but we're going to look ahead too with the Philadelphia 76ers in this game and look back too as well and see who actually had a performance that was worth talking about and maybe some effort finally from this team was put out there against Oklahoma City. We'll touch on that when we come back on the other side. And we have to tell you all about Hungry Root. When it comes to grocery shopping and meal planning, it can be very, very tough, especially when you're busy. And I'm busy just as everybody else. You're trying to do a million things in the day, and it's tough to go grocery shopping. There's a lot of times, and I feel bad for the stores where I'm running in there the last 15 minutes before it closes to try to get some groceries to make sure I have them to come home before the store closes at the end of the night. It's constantly stressing you out, and that happens to a lot of us when we're on our day-to-day busy schedules, whatever you have going on. And sometimes I get too many things that I end up getting and I don't actually end up cooking them. And then they kind of just go bad. They kind of go to waste. And I've been looking to stop that here in 2025 as well. But everything changed when I discovered Hungry Root. Honestly, it's been a game changer for me. It's the easiest way to eat healthy without all the stress. With Hungry Root, it's like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist all in one. They take care of my grocery shopping, recommending meals and groceries based on my tastes and health goals as well. And that's huge to be able to have that kind of categorized out too, from anti-inflammatory of high protein and gluten-free options. And the best part, every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less, which is perfect for those people that are busy, on the run, not home all the time, to be able to sit down and have that meal. I'm talking quick, healthy meals that actually taste great, all delivered straight to my door. It's been a huge time saver and has made healthy eating so much simpler. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box and a free item in every box for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Once again, one more time, hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA to get 40% off. You will not want to miss out on this. All right, so how about an NBA career high? Some positives for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's small, but it's there. Justin Edwards, 25 points in that contest, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 3-point made as well. For the Bluecoats, he's averaging about 18 and a half points. He's had 2 30-plus games as well. He has been a very effective guard with the Delaware Bluecoats and how they kind of run their system with him and Jeff Downton as well. But Justin Edwards, I think, proved last night to me, Keith, that he deserves more minutes and more time out there with that unit. Now, once again, yes, he's a two-way player, and it's not going to work out all the time, but you're talking about putting up 25 against the best team in the Western Conference. He's young. He has a lot of growing to do, but his game can really fit in with the 76ers if they utilize him correctly.
Yeah, if they, you know what? I think that he's a quality 3-and-D. He ended up with 1 steal. He shot 9 for 16 from the floor. He was 4 for 9 on threes. Nick Nurse talked about after the game how he liked, when he decided to shoot the 3. He also liked when, he decided to drive the lane. And, he is playing better. Like, he's a guy that's getting, every time he steps on the floor, it seems like he has a better performance. And, the last game, Oklahoma City Thunder, they closed out the game with him at that particular time, I felt like the moment was too big for him, right? A
Mhm.
clutch game. This game, now granted, they were leaving him open because they like, well, who is Justin Edwards, right? But at the same time, he knocked down those threes. And when he talked about it, he says, you know what? It just really comes down to the reps and the players and the coaches believing in me, just telling me to be myself out there. So that's a big part of it. And he also, you talked about the G League. He said that the G League kind of helped him. He said it helped me out a lot, honestly. I feel like it helped me build my confidence. That's really the biggest thing for me. Coming here, I really didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, but playing down in the G League really helped me out, helped me get my confidence back. So, the blue coach was great development for him, and he is proving that, like you said, that he can be a quality 3 and D off the bench.
And for the Delaware Bluecoats, too, for people that don't know, their head coach is Mike Longobardi, who was an assistant and played a lot of roles in the NBA throughout his career. And he had the head coaching opportunity with Delaware, and he wanted to take it down in the G League. So he has a lot of NBA experience, and he kind of knows how to coach those guys, talk to those guys, and bring that now as head coach to the G League. And I think that really tells a lot about his character, too, because I think sometimes when you look at it and you're going to a team, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to spend some time in the G League. Like, when am I going to get my opportunity in the NBA? Justin Edwards is somebody that has made the most of his opportunity in the G, has been able to have 230-plus games. And as he alluded to, he says it helped his confidence. So it was just more than being able to put up those point totals, but also getting him prepped and ready. And that's what the G League is for, the developmental league for this NBA and the 76ers for Justin Edwards. Jeff Doughton, also one of those two-way players, 18 points, 7 for 14, 2 for 5 from beyond the arc as well. So I'm not saying that they should take all the minutes at all the times and everything like that, but I think as you look at the 76ers team, the one thing that they lack is the mobility to get up and down the floor and a little bit of their youth as well. And I think somebody like Justin Edwards can really bring that to the table with the Philadelphia 76ers. Although I don't know what rotations and what chemistry this team will be able to get if people don't, start actually playing the game of basketball for the Philadelphia 76ers. But I was impressed with this game. Yeah, he was left open here and there, and OKC didn't really know much about his game. But at the same time, I think you talk about his confidence. This was also a big confidence boost for him going into the next time that Nick Nurse pushes him in that lineup.
Yeah, it was a great confidence boost. And the funny thing is, I will say this though, Nick Nurse has confidence in him. Like
Yep.
like the fact that he had him close out that game when Paul George went out, because you would think that it maybe, okay, I'm gonna go with Ricky Council. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go with, someone else. But he went with him. Now here's something that was to me was the best thing. They've only had one guy on his team who was a plus in regards to plus minus.
Mm-hmm.
That was Justin Edwards. The only one. He was a +3 in 35 minutes, 9 seconds. 1 second. But when you look at guys like Kelly Oubre, -25, Ricky Council, -15, Yabu, -18, Reggie Jackson, -12, and you go on and on. And, Justin Edwards, he was out there balling. Balling. Now, he did have 3 turnovers, but at the same time, he had 4 assists, he had 6 rebounds, and all these were career highs. So, he played phenomenally, and he's a guy, just like, in my opinion, just like Jared McCain came on, just like Yabu came on. I feel like, you give this guy some minutes and give him some opportunities, he's going to show you. Think about it. We forget 2 years ago, he was the 3rd best player in the country in
Mm-hmm.
high school, right? He led Imhotep Charter to multiple state championships. He is a player. It's just that he just went to Kentucky and he got injured and it didn't work out well for him and he didn't get drafted. So he could be a steal. He is a steal, put it that way.
I agree with that too. And I think that's the biggest thing that people kind of undermine him, because he only averaged about 9 points in Kentucky. And the biggest stat for him was how many games that he appeared in in that season, where you talk about the injuries and everything like that. But when you saw him in the G League in the first 2 games with the Delaware Bluecoats, you realize, okay, he's starting to get back to his roots a little bit, and he's a real playmaker out there, and he can really score the ball at a high clip. So we'll wait and see. We both agree that he needs more minutes because, hey, they need all the help they can get at this point for the Philadelphia 76ers. They are 15-23 on the season currently after falling to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going to talk about how many games that they have lost, 6 out of their last 8, and what we look ahead to, because once again, the schedule only gets worse for Philadelphia. They have the Knicks next up, and we're going to break that down in just a moment. We have to tell you about Wayfair. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space help me get back into a routine, especially after the traveling, after the holidays, and everything like that. Whether you're tidying up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a little bit of a new look to start the new year, Wayfair has everything you need, all within your budget. I'm currently looking for furniture right now, especially an end table for my new couch that I just got, also from Wayfair, that I got on a really great deal. So make sure you go check it out today, as everything I get is always from there. It's what I want to do to tidy up my apartment a little bit, have an opportunity to make it look newer without spending too much money, and getting it on a really good deal as well. There's something for every style, for every home, no matter your space or budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals and endless inspiration for every space. Even if you want to give something for a spare room or a little anything like that for the bedroom, living room, kitchen, whatever it may be, Wayfair has an opportunity to get all of that for a really good price. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Make sure you go check it out today. This has just been an ugly stretch for the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, we're in the real conversation of, should Joel Embiid shut it down for the rest of the season? Should this team just tank and look at next season and look ahead to what it's going to be in the future? I don't necessarily think we're there just yet, but we're definitely a few games away, especially if Joel Embiid doesn't play in this Knicks game. Then there's going to be some real conversation of what the heck is going on, and Nick Nurse might need to start not just saying that everything's okay and everything's going to be okay. Nevertheless, they've lost 6 out of their last 8 games, and they take on the Knicks coming up, and the Knicks, they've had some fault here. I mean, they did just beat the Bucks handedly, 140-106. They also just fell to the Pistons, though, in their last matchup. But the one thing about the Knicks right now, Keith, they're coming off a lot fresher than the Philadelphia 76ers. Apparently, everybody on the Sixers is injured as well. So you look at it right now, this is a tough matchup for Philadelphia. We both kind of talked about before this, we do think that Joel Embiid is going to come back. Joel Embiid needs to come back in this game. Otherwise, the real conversation of shutting him down and having the season as a wipe is going to be one that we're going to have if Joel Embiid does not play. He absolutely has to against the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, he has to against the Knicks. I mean, basically, they need him. I mean, here's the thing. Like, we look at it. So Joel Embiid missed the first 9 games of the season, and then he came back and he played, what was it, 4 out of 5 games. Then all of a sudden, Joel Embiid misses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, right? And then all in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He missed 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, actually, I'm getting this is last year, so he's like missing games. I'm like, yo, he's missing games back and forth, left and right. Like, yo, so So we talk about this year. So Joel missed he missed the first 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back and played 3 out of 4. Then he missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, missed 7 games. And then he played, wow, he played a nice stretch. Like he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he played in 12 of 16, right? And then he missed 5 in a row. So I expect Joel to come back, and I expect him to play, possibly tomorrow. I believe it's going to be tomorrow, but I expect him to play, but I don't expect him to play in the back-to-backs, like through the rest of the month, right? And I do. I mean, I think they need him, but here's the deal. the thing is, what that's telling me now, Nick Nurse keeps saying that the knee is fine, everything is cool, but it's just the foot. But to me, it's like it just seems like whenever he plays an extended amount of games, he has these ailments. And I think that's the thing that's going to hinder him. So my biggest concern is what's going to happen. What is he going to feel like in February? Early February. Is he still going to be able to go? That's my concern.
I think with Joel too, if he somehow picks up another injury or things get worse after, if he does play against the Knicks coming up and these next few games, whatever it might be, I think you have to look at shutting him down for the rest of the season because you are doing significant damage if you do not
Yeah.
at this point. I mean, you look at it right now, and every time he goes out there, it's either a new injury pops up, he misses 10 days, he plays in a stretch, and there's all of a sudden out for a stretch. Like that's not a real season. They don't need that. They're not going to get anywhere with him doing that. The furthest they'll get maybe is playing right now, and they're already going to lose. I think championship, getting out of the second round, all those aspirations are completely knocked down for this season. The 76ers are 7-6 with Joel Embiid, 8-17 without him right now in this season. My biggest question to you, Keith, right now with Joel Embiid, with Paul George even too, they say they sit them out. They don't play them on back-to-backs. Embiid has been out for an extended period of time, yes. What about a minutes restriction? Is that something they look at coming in and having at least maybe Joel Embiid do? Because when they want to play him, they play him till the absolute most. And then because he's your best player and they need him to win games, and then all of a sudden he's out for 5 games in a row. So is that a conversation and a situation that the 76ers can do to maybe limit the pressure on that knee or on that foot or on the face, whatever that may be, because there just hasn't been a solution for him this year?
I mean, I do think that's something that you think about, but I also think the problem is that you can do that, but you need him. Like you need him to
Yeah.
play minutes. And but another thing is, I think that is not. I think that the problem, yeah, you do have you can do a minutes restriction, but it just seems like the wear and tear, the jumping, the amount of games that you're going to play, I think that's also wearing on the knee. So yeah, you can say, okay, you're going to play 30 minutes this game, but then you play 20 the next one. But then if your knee is swollen, like it doesn't matter. We don't want you to play at all. But you would think, but they lose so much when he's not on the floor, and that you want him to be able to go 100% or play at a normal amount of minutes. Now he was playing at a minute restriction before,
Yeah.
but I just think that the swelling is so bad, or it was bad early on, and then also now they're talking about the foot, then the face. So there's a lot of things that rest up. Now the one thing is when he does come back, I do want to see if he's going to wear that mask. And the
Mm.
reason why I'm saying that is because I want to know if the face is healed, the fracture is healed, and things like that. But yeah, they got a tough one ahead of them, Kayla. They do. Like, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns. Joel Embiid is the best center in the East, but Karl Anthony Towns is probably going to be the All-Star starter. We got Jalen Brunson. You have Mikal Bridges. You have a lot of different players on this team, and let's face it, they hate the Sixers. So it's going to be gritty, and it's going to be a whole bunch of New Yorkers in the building today.
There is going to be. And the thing is, too, why did the 76ers continue to want to bring Joel back against Karl Anthony Towns? What is the thought process behind that? Because you're talking about you want to make sure that he's healthy. You want to make sure that he can move around, but you bring him back against one of the other top centers in the Eastern Conference right now. Like that doesn't really add up to me, but nothing about the 76ers season has added up to me. So I guess that's just kind of what they're going through. We don't know if he's going to play yet at this point. We do expect him to, but I mean, you look ahead for this team. I'm giving the 76ers, and people can quote me on this too. So we look ahead at their schedule, right? They play the Knicks, the Pacers, and then that's a back-to-back Pacers and Bucks. So you maybe don't expect Joel Embiid and Paul George to play in one or two of those games. But you look to that Bulls game, and if for some reason Joel goes down again or Paul goes out for an extended period of time, I would just say forget about this season because it's already getting to that point. And right now, when you look ahead, injuries continue to happen, and you're probably causing further severe damage by trying to push these guys at the end of the day. And what is it for? Because it's not for a championship. It's not for even getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because to me, even at this point, that is way too out of reach. And the 76ers are way too out of touch if they think that's a reality for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you have to see because like I mean, the one thing is I do think if Joel Embiid went, I mean if he plays and and he plays well, I do think they could steal some wins during this stretch. But at the same time, what is that? They'll go 5 and 5 and 10 or you know what I mean? Like I mean,
Mhm.
what's that? But at the same time, when you look at it, I don't see unless they do some major upsets. The way that it's set up for them to go what 3-12 or something like that. You know, I mean, like we're talking about Chicago. Chicago's the only upcoming team that they're going to play that has a losing record.
Yeah.
The only one, and they go up against Milwaukee twice. So there's a lot on the line for the 76ers and especially Joel. And then here's the thing, Kayla, we're talking about, Tyrese Maxey's hand, his hand. So that's
Right.
major. We're talking about guys dribbling the ball, doing other things, shooting the ball, and his hand is messed up. So, there's a lot of things that the 76ers have to overcome in order for them to win games right about now.
That it does. And this is something that we've touched on throughout the season. How much can you push Tyrese Maxey with Joel Embiid and Paul George being out? The load is obviously going to be on him, and that could cause some injuries as well, and just some fatigue and burnout and everything like that. So it's been a little crazy of a season for the Philadelphia 76ers. Not even to mention, too, you talk about the Bulls. That game is also on the road for the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's not an easy task either in Chicago. But we're going to wait and see if Joel Embiid plays in this game or if he does it. It's not even just Joel, though. We have to talk about Andre Drummond, Caleb Martin, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, KJ Martin, all these pieces, Kyle Lowry, that haven't been playing, that you're going to look to see if they do play against the Knicks in the back-to-back with the Philadelphia 76ers. They take them on tonight at 7 p.m. as the Philadelphia 76ers are going to try to squeeze out a win, possibly. We'll see if they can, and that is at home at the Wells Fargo Center. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On 76ers. For Keith Pompey, I'm Kayla Santiago saying so long, and we'll see you after the Sixers versus Knicks game, and we'll see if they can pull out the victory.